Hello. Hello, my love.
Hello, hello.
How are you doing?
I'm all right. Happy to
Good.
be here live for once.
Yeah, it's nice. I'm enjoying it very much.
Oh my, it's nice to not be at work.
I know. It's like I purposely do things that like conflict with your schedule normally.
Yeah, you do. It sucks.
I'm so sorry. I love you really.
It's fine. I forgive you.
Hello, Katie. Hi, Emily.
Oh,
How are we doing?
Good,
all
thank
good, thank
you.
you.
Good. I am excited. I will leave it just a minute, just in case. I don't know who's coming tonight. The good news is the less people that are here, the more time everybody has. So we'll see. We'll see how many people. It's a weird week, isn't it? Not everybody's back to work. I found that in my like in the Flexi Mind this week. Normally I only go in 2 or 3 times a week, but like somebody new is like starting work each day. So I've like been in there every day this week because it's just a bit all over the place. No one knows what they're doing. I'm in like an even weirder because I'm also only going to work for 3 weeks and then I'm going off. So I'm like like going back into work, but also simultaneously stopping, which is very odd. Doesn't feel like January to me because I can't throw myself into work, which I know is a good thing, but also I like throwing myself into work. Well, I will explain what's going to happen anyway, and we'll see if anybody else comes in the meantime. So, hot seat coaching. I don't know those of you that have been on hot seat coaching calls before, they're like a big part of what I do. I love hot seat coaching because it means that everything that I do is tailored to the people that are actually on the call rather than just like doing a program and it being what it is. So basically, I will be going round and asking if anybody has any questions. So if anybody wants to have a think, there's really nothing off topic. If I haven't got an answer for you immediately, I'll go away and have a think about it and get back to you tomorrow. Um, but yeah, I'll go around the room. So if you've got any questions, have a think, jot them down so you don't forget. You might find that more comes up when other people talk if you're struggling to think of anything right now. If you haven't got anything and we've got time, I'll go back to you at the end. But yeah, thank you for participating in the Advent calendar. Honestly, I had a lot of fun with it, and that's obviously why you're all here. By the way, I had a look earlier, I put it in my calendar. If anybody's planning anything fun, it's National Fun at Work Day on the 26th. I don't know what I'm going to do yet, but I feel like I can't let that opportunity pass me by. So it's in my diary. So I just thought I would tell you all, just in case you also want to do something. But also the kind of conclusion of the Advent calendar was about my offers that I have coming up when baby is born. She is due in 6.5 weeks now, which is insane. Um, so in fact, one of the days I gave earlier, Sean, the 19th, that's my due date for the when you said about doing the breath work. So I might not be there. Um, but um, but yeah, it's coming up very soon. So if you're not on my mailing list, I would highly recommend there is a link in my bio on Instagram, but also feel free not to be. Sorry, I've got pajamas on. I'm like dressed up top, not up bottom. But yeah, so let's get stuck in. Feel free to take notes, do all of that, but this is recorded. I will DM you the recording probably tomorrow. So if you'd rather just like take it in and not write notes, that's okay. You can watch back this afterwards. The recording will only be for you guys, and I'll also send it to the people that couldn't make it. But there's only like I think like another 5 people that were kind of runners up in the thing, so it won't be shared elsewhere. Cool. So I'm gonna just go around in the order that you are on my screen, and Sean, you are the first. So I'm gonna start with you.
Shock.
Go. Throwing
Okay,
it deep end.
perfect. No, I was actually just writing down some notes quickly, um,
Amazing.
because because I like to go on a tangent. Um, we know how it is.
Me
So,
too, don't worry.
I think, I think, I think for me personally, I have a few things coming up at the moment. So honestly, if anyone can help, if anyone can share some words of advice, anything, because like I said to you, Lauren, I never get to join anything live. So I'm like beyond excited for the live energy, for like the fresh energy of new people. Like it's really, really helpful. But I think for me, we've spoken about this a little bit. This for me is the year of leaving my job.
Yes.
And that's bringing up a lot for me at the moment because I'm really, really excited. I have the vision, like the vision is really strong. But strangely, I've had a lot of conversations over Christmas with like my friends, my family, my loved ones. And I think what's happened is I've had loads of people come with different opinions in my ears, like la la la. And I'm a quite a strong personality, but I don't know what it is. I think it's because it's probably looming ever closer and realistic for me. And it's kind of just taken me on a bit of like a, oh shit, kind of like, ah. And I'm now starting to get confused of how it's going to look or how I want it to look for me. Of I know that I need to get out of the workplace that I'm in because it's very toxic. I don't feel like I fit in. There's a lot of behaviors that I don't agree with. So I just know it's not for me. But I'm also I'm a big dreamer and I'm a big believer of like, yeah, just go for it. But I also need to be realistic. I need to be I need to be able to pay my bills. I need to be able to run my business. And I don't want to run it from a place of being scared, about worried about income. Because where I'm at my business right now, I know we've spoken about this recently, I'm really in a good place with it. I'm feeling really good about it. It's suddenly growing at hyper speed. And I'm kind of good with just sitting where I am and feeling into that right now. And I don't want to take that massive leap, but I'm just getting a lot of feels from like everyone at the moment. And I'm just feeling a bit overwhelmed. I'm like, what the fuck am I doing with my life?
Can
So
I
that's where I'm at.
can I ask what the opinions specifically are? Like, what is it financial? Is that the biggest worry, or is it like what's being projected onto you?
Yeah, definitely big things are financial.
Hmm.
Um, for me, especially because we know how it is. Here's the thing. I think the difference is I have been going as self-employed since I want to say 2017.
Hmm.
So like that I've had different iterations of it. So I was mainly self-employed
Hmm.
um, with obviously my gymnastics coaching. And then basically when COVID happened, I was still self-employed. But what happened for me is I ended up, so I was completely freelance for 3 years, just doing me, working off my own books. And then COVID came, fucked that up, love that, really appreciate that. Um, so when I did end up going back to work, I ended up affiliating myself with one club. And that's basically how it works. So I can't work for other clubs. I can't work in other places in the area. I can't work with competing people, which is fine. So that's worked out quite well, working for my club and working for me. But I know that I want to completely take a step back. I've done that career for 15 years. I'm done with it. And I think people are just like, so what, you're just going to go all in on the business? Are you not going to keep coaching? You should still work with children. You should still do what you do. You're amazing at what you do. You love it. And I'm kind of like, well, actually, I do. And I think that's what's starting to, so partly it's the financials, but partly I'm like, yeah, no, I love my job. I hate who I work with. There's a
Okay.
difference.
Okay.
And it's that's messy. And then that's me thinking, as we've had the conversation, um, about like, well, yeah, maybe I could just, get another part-time job. Maybe I could just work elsewhere. I know that I need to leave my own role
Mhm.
100%, but yeah, maybe I could work for myself again. Maybe I could work for someone, like maybe I could just do a couple of days a week. And that for me, I think has started to cloud my vision over Christmas. Or people are saying, well, why don't you just drop your days, or why don't you just do this? And I'm like, yeah, I actually don't. At this point, I'm like, oh fuck, I don't even know.
The thing is, it's not the logical decision to leave your job because it's a nice steady income. It's all of this stuff. And I can totally resonate with some of the things you're saying as well with like the like you love what you do and you're great at what you do and you need to still work with kids. Am I because obviously that's what I left as well. And you have this like this thing and again I loved working with children. I loved doing what I did. It's the only part of the job I miss actually is working with the children. But first of all, there's no wrong way. If you want to work in some capacity doing what you already do, there's no shame in that. There's nothing wrong with that. I think that we're encouraged to do this full time, and you don't have to do this full time. You could have one client and be fully booked, and that'd be great if that's what you want to do. But also, people won't get what you're doing until it becomes logical to them, and that usually is when it's making money to a point where they feel like, and it's really hard to. I remember it was last December, actually. Last December I was just launching my first round of Obsessed, and I had a really good month, and I had gone kind of 8-9 months before that not being able to have any kind of like tangible, see, I know what I'm doing. Like I was kind of constantly feeling like I had to prove myself. And I remember that December, I kind of went the complete opposite way and just became the most braggy motherfucker going, because I was like, I can now. I remember my ex-mother-in-law was moaning at me because I had 3 Christmas trees, and it was at the time when everyone was panicking about the electric costs. And I was like, Helen, hun, I made 9 grand this month. Like, I think I can turn my Christmas trees on, chill out. And I remember I went the other way. I just got a bit cocky. But it's because nobody gets it until you have that, like that thing. But you're also never going to have that unless you're doing more of it.
Yeah.
Like again, there's no right or wrong. You could want to earn 1,000 a month from this, and that'd be absolutely fine. But you can't reach those bigger things and make it your full-time job until you kind of are putting in more time, and you've got to prioritize yourself as well. You don't want to run yourself into the ground and be working like full-time in a job and then also full-time in this, because it's just not feasible. What I would say in terms of leaving completely is I would maybe set like a threshold of like, once I'm earning this and I've earned this maybe 3 months running, then I will leave, because then you'll have that security of that income is coming in. Obviously, you can't guarantee it forever. Like, I can't guarantee my income like way into the future once payment plans end, but it will give you a little bit of comfort in that you've reached that threshold. But I would maybe in the meantime, if you don't feel ready to fully go in, still look at another job, because it doesn't matter if you're there for 2 months.
Yeah.
Like, it really doesn't. And I think sometimes there's that pressure as well to leave. And I remember my old coach, Jess, she shared this publicly before, but she's left her job twice now, because the first time she left, it was more like, I want to do this full time, and she thought it was going to give her more freedom, but it ended up doing the complete opposite for her, because she was then just panicked the whole time and couldn't go out without to do anything. So then she ended up going back, and so she's only, I think in the summer, left for the second time, and now it feels a lot more secure because she set weirdly, she shared on her stories today the threshold, which is odd. But she said that she set for her bills and everything that she had coming out and paying her coach and all of that she needed to be making £6,000 before tax before she was able to leave. And so she waited until that point before she left for the second time. And didn't let everyone else, because you'll get judgment either way. If you leave, you'll get judgment for leaving. If you don't leave, our industry will give you shit for not leaving. And you can't keep everybody happy.
No, and I think I'm usually pretty good at drowning out the noise. And then, as you know, December for me was quite wild. And I was like, I don't want to do that again. That absolutely sucked. I'm done with that. And I just think, just because I've just been so tired, and I'm at that place where mentally I'm so done with it. I think I got to that place where I was like, I just need it, like anything. Just someone give me an answer, tell me what to do, and I'll just do that. And then really I was like, when people are speaking to me, I was like, it doesn't feel right. And I think that's what was bugging me, and you're like, unfortunately, we're intuitive people, aren't we? So when you're a bit more, I'll know when I know. I think I feel a bit more that, but I think realistically, I think you're right. I need to put some logic in this and be like, right, let's have a look at this. Let's work out like exactly what I need to be able to not just live but also thrive as well, and let's put that in place and make sure I'm doing that.
I think
I just don't want to do it feeling, at the end of the day, I have job security. I'm really lucky. have job security with what I do. I can stay as long as I want. I just don't want to go from that place of like, and now I'm like,
Yeah.
and it comes from like real lack and like,
Yeah.
oh fuck.
That's the problem. And that's where like I was in a really fortunate position. And I try and talk about this a lot because I think you can look at what I did. I left my job very quickly, but I have a flat that I rent out, and that flat pays my bills. It doesn't pay much more than that. In fact, this month it didn't do anything because the guy needed so much work doing. It gave me £90 this month. I was like, thank you so much. But ordinarily it pays my bills and the mortgage on that. So that's all it pays. But I'm never fucked. And I wasn't from day one. So it allowed me to be able to step away earlier. But there is nothing worse than like panicking about how you're going to pay like what you need to pay and stuff. But equally, I don't want to discourage you. Like if you're ready to like your mental health also needs to be a priority in this. That was a big factor in me leaving, of like it's not even really a choice at this point. I kind of just actually have to leave. But you also want to make sure that you feel comfortable with your decision. But I would think of whatever that threshold is for you, and it'll be different for everyone because it depends how much like your life costs. Because the more you earn, typically the higher your life ends up costing, because everything's more expensive that you have. But I would figure that out. And if you need to get out of where you're at in the meantime, do that. There's no shame in stepping sideways, because it's a better sideways than where you're at right now, and puts you in a better position mentally to be able to grow your business until you're in a situation where you are able to leave as well, because you're not going to be so like pissed off all the time.
Exactly. And I definitely think the one thing I did come to terms with at the end of last year was definitely just saying I'm taking a step back from it all, like mentally and energetically, and that's done wonders for me, myself personally, and for my business. And I just think that now it's in that place where like I said, I'm going to drop a day, so I'm going to go down to 2 days. I think that's going to make a world of difference to be able to help me linger. But actually, I think you're right. Just thinking of, either finding something part time or just maybe going back and essentially slowly unaffiliating myself and going back to just being freelance again and getting more work there, because I love that. Like I said, I love working with children. I love that aspect of it. And I find, the happier you are and the more it lights you up, that only helps, in other things anyway, doesn't it?
Yeah. No, I think absolutely, like, do what it is you need. And if it is just dropping a day, like if that actually does take the pressure off you, then then you can do that as well. But if that environment is the problem, then that's the thing that you need to.
Oh, 100%. 100%. I think for now, I think dropping a day for now will just give me some space just to work it out, so that then I can then go in and just say, now I'm done.
That's the thing as well. There's no like time pressure. I think we're all feeling a bit of time pressure at the moment because it's the new year, and like we're supposed to be making all these like big things, like decisions and bold moves and all of this. But it really doesn't mean anything. You don't have to do anything. And also, I know not necessarily where you're currently at, potentially, maybe, but nothing's irreversible. Like if you decide to leave your job, like Jess did, and then is like, actually shit, she just went and got a job somewhere else. Like nothing is like a permanent decision. You're good at what you do, like you can go and do it somewhere else. And also, by the way, I meant to say this earlier, there is no reason why you can't grow your business, because the rate in which you've grown your business over the last like 3-4 months, however long it's been since the summer, has been insane.
I think I forget this as well. I think this is the year for me. This is the year for me. You know how it is. We always downplay our successes, and actually, the last few months have been wild in unfucking believable ways as well. I think thank you for reminding me as well that I just need to role reverse. I think for me, the business needs to be fully first, and decisions need to be based from that, and then work can come second, and it can work around it.
And that's the thing as well. Your work supports your business. Like, so, and it supports your life as well. It supports you being able to live in your nice house and like go out for dinner and with Jamie and do all these things. Like it supports those things, but it's not, you're not thinking of it as a career in quite the same way as you might have done 15 years ago.
Yeah.
And so it can look different, and it's never going to make sense to everyone else until you can prove that it does, at which case at which point, sorry, you probably won't even care about proving it anymore because it'll just be working.
Yeah,
it's very
100%.
But
No, thank you for that. No, thank you, because I think we just, what would you say? We just need those reminders sometimes, and that's why I appreciate groups like this and just being able to like just talk about it and just speak to people that understand, because there's a lot of people that don't understand in that same way, and you're like, thank you, I don't feel crazy. I'm just saying again. I feel bad.
Nobody in the real world, like that, not to say we're not in the real world, but nobody with a normal job fully, they might be supportive, but nobody truly understands. And that even comes down to our partners and our, like, it could be our parents, it could be whoever it is. Like, even if you have these people that are supportive, nobody truly understands. I'm lucky. I feel like I need to say my Jamie because we both have Jamies. But my Jamie is very supportive, but he doesn't understand what I do. But then I have to remind myself that doesn't matter because he's an electrician and I don't understand what he does either.
Very true.
I understand that he like wires stuff, and occasionally an hour he'll go, you see that switch? I put that in, and I'm like, cracking, well done. But that's about as deep as my knowledge goes. So, like, nobody really I don't understand what most jobs do. I don't get most things. That's fine.
Yeah. No, thank you for that. Yeah, I think I feel much better now, and yeah, I'm gonna go away this weekend. I'm off to see my mum in Ireland tomorrow for a few days, so I think that's a great time for me to kind of just go away, sit and breathe on things a bit. Yeah, and not be so hard on myself, because it was the plan for last year and it didn't come to fruition. But I'm like, it's okay, because I've if it's gonna happen, I don't care. I'd rather it happen and it happen in the right way.
Absolutely, and sometimes personal life has to take priority as well.
Yeah.
I would say that a lot of my goals, business-wise, didn't come true last year, but my personal life went like that. And I think you
Exactly.
you have to be like kind to yourself and just realize that like you can't do everything at once without crumbling. But
Yeah,
enjoy
and I
Ireland
think
anyway. Let us know how.
yeah, exactly, and I will. But anyway, I won't take up any more time from anyone else, because I actually love being a fly on the wall and listening to everybody else's stuff as well. So please feel free to crack on. But thank you so much. And if anyone else has any words of advice, message me. Please tell me, because I'm here for it all.
Yeah, feel free to use the chat and stuff while we're talking as well, if anybody has anything that anybody wants to add at any point. I'll get a bit of FOMO because I won't be able to read it and talk at the same time, but feel free to use it. Emily, you're the next person on my screen. Do you have anything that I can help you with today?
Amazing. Yes, thank you. And I just want to add for Shan, because I left my job last summer, which was like at the same time as me being offered promotions at work, that felt like everyone was telling me, this makes sense, there's a ladder there for you, there's people, like, you've got this secure thing in front of you, you're going to be successful in your normal job. But I quit, and the best thing that somebody said to me was like, you can just get another job. Like, I'm not banned now from Indeed. I'm not like logged out of job application websites. No one's going to shut me out of the door just because I've left a job before. And actually running a business is just as much like credentials for your CV as anything else. So that helped me. And also I saw some TikToks that were all basically like demystifying this belief that we have that like normal jobs are secure, because normal, like, a business could shut down at any point. Or like, how many times have like people been taken into the office and been like, right, your job role's changing, you're getting paid differently, you've got to come in on different days. Like, yeah, there's a prediction that you've got a contract for the pay you're getting, but as soon as, like, someone in my office, she got brought in and her job role got completely changed, and I was like, well, that's not secure then, is it? Like, it's no longer secure for me, because things could change and it's out of my control, and I've got far more control now in my business. So as soon as those two things happened, I was like, I'm quitting. And I waited, but I did the threshold thing. Like Lauren said, I think that's perfect advice, like to wait for a threshold. And mine was as soon as we got the keys for the house. Like, as soon as the day that we got the keys for the house, I walked in and handed my notice in. So yeah, I'm here for you, like clapping you for like quitting your job and doing what's right. I know it's scary, but yeah, those two bits of advice like massively helped. But for me, what's going on at the moment is I've just launched a membership that's launching tomorrow.
Ooh.
And it's the first time I've done anything like this. So I'm an OBM that usually works one-to-one with clients. Like I have clients on retainer, and I launched a membership that I've been sitting on for ages. So it's going to be like a portal with a load of like tutorials, templates, tools, everything that I implement in other people's businesses for them to like plug and play and do on their own. And then there'll be 2 monthly sessions where I'll be able to give them almost like hot seat Q&A. So if they've got a specific like technical problem, an actual issue going on in the business, I can work with them to solve it. So I'll be like an OBM, but not having the price tag attached of like actually having me in their business all the time. I've been sitting on it for ages, really excited about it. And I've got people interested in its launching tomorrow, which is really great. But people that are interested are at very different spectrums of the business journey. And I feel like a lot of the people that I like have engagement with on Instagram are like early on in business, like they really like seeing how I'm helping businesses grow. But then I do have some people that I interact with and that I would love to be proper retainer clients that are like 6-figure business owners. And so I try in my marketing to really speak to that successful 6-figure business owner that's doing really successfully because they can afford to have me more long term. But I want the membership to be able to speak to everybody. But then I don't know if I'm just trying to please everybody. Does that make sense? Like, I don't know if I'm marketing too wide. Everyone says about like niching down, and I've done well not having to niche. And I don't really niche. I just try and attract the people that align with me. But I'm worried that firstly, I'm going to give myself way too much work trying to make videos and templates that are fit for somebody that's just starting out and someone that's like got a team already, because it's going to make the portal huge, and I haven't even got through all the videos and stuff yet. And secondly, in marketing it, like, will it be people at too broad of a business journey stage, if that makes sense?
I think the first thing that comes to my mind is for the people that are at a different stage and are ready to work with you on those retainers, would the membership even be like, I'm not saying that the membership's not valuable, but would the membership even be enough for what they require? Like, does it almost, for me, I'm like, if you're earning a significant amount of money, because for me, and I don't, if I'm wrong, tell me, it sounds like you've got kind of like the done for you OBM stuff, where you're like, it's always kind of with them, obviously, but you're doing a lot more for them directly. And then the membership is a lot more like, I'll tell you how to do it. Like, I can help advise you and I can give you the tools, but ultimately you're going to have to implement it yourself, because that's the difference between the high ticket and whatever this is.
Yeah.
But with that being said, I'm kind of just gonna like go around in a circle here and potentially like shit on my own point. But I think that if they're kind of just implementing the tools and making it custom, because there has to be a line, right, in terms of where your boundary lies. So for me, when it comes to low ticket stuff, unless it's something out of the ordinary, like a prize or something like that, my boundary is, if it is free or if it is low ticket, it's general advice that you have to be able to apply to yourself.
Yeah.
You get the advice, and it's, I always describe it, I haven't got a pen with me, I always describe it, I've done it a number of times. Oh, I don't know why I'm looking on the floor, just hoping one just jumps out at me. But I always describe it as, you have like the client problem, and you have the like the resources or the transformation or whatever it is. This is free or low ticket, like these two things standing separately. When you pay me more money, I build the bridge for you. I help you take that thing and apply it to yourself so that you get the best transformation and things. Whereas otherwise you kind of have to figure that bridge out for yourself. So if you were to have that boundary, I don't think you would need to necessarily do loads of different resources and things, because they would have to make it for themselves anyway. But in terms of your marketing, if you did want to do it more general, I would look at what the common thread is between everything that you do and talk about that. I've done it before. I might have done it with Sean before, I'm not sure. Like doing the Venn diagram with, I don't know if I've done it with you, Sean, with the like talking about what your retainer does, what your membership does, what anything else of yours may be. and looking at where they overlap and having that as the majority of your like content message, and
Yeah.
occasionally talking to the membership, occasionally not. I really should have brought a pen because I need one. But the other thing I do, there are ways, in fact, I can send it to you afterwards. I'll make a note. Send selling multiple. There are ways that you can do that and have the like overarching message, but be able to sell multiple things without it getting muddy, and being able to switch between the different messaging. It's just whether or not you prefer the membership to be more beginnery, to encourage those higher ticket clients to be in higher ticket things as well, because that's the problem. If they're comfortable there, then they've got no reason to pay you the higher money.
Yeah. So the one person in particular that is like really keen, she messaged me saying she was like really keen to join. She was like, I think she messaged me saying like, I'll do anything to get more Emily time. So like the membership is like something she wants more of. Like she wants to have more instantaneous support from me. And so I said it will be the perfect fit. She'll have now, she pays me my highest ticket thing, which is a quarterly strategy session. So, and that's my highest price per hour thing that she's in, and she's the most successful business owner I work with. I launched this, and I think she's like, yeah, I'll do anything. Like, what else have you got for me? Which is lovely. And so, yeah, she would be great for the membership because she'd then get 2 monthly chances to ask more things. But I ended up messaging her back and she was like, okay, yeah, I'm kind of looking for something that I can like dip in and out of support whenever I need it. I don't think she'd actually use the template. She said, can my VA use the templates? Like she's got someone under her that would use them. And so I said to her, like, I've never done it before, but potentially we could do like an Boxer access package where she could get access to me all the time. And so I'm thinking I need to like, I want people to be able to get bespoke support and value like in the monthly calls. I get what you mean about making the templates and stuff just like editable for yourself, but then I can solve a specific problem on the 2 calls. But my boundary is going to be, it's just then. It's not like all the time. It's just in those 2 sessions. But yeah, I'd love for that to then mean that because they're getting so much value, they want me all the time. And so when they're at the stage in business that they can afford to have me all the time, that's when we up level. And maybe that up level is like a Voxer package or my retainer. But yeah, for some business owners that have already got a team, they don't necessarily need an OBM and me and my VAs because they've already got a team established. So I think it's working out something that can still be an upsell without them getting everything they need for a really low price.
Yeah, that's the thing. You don't want to, the thing that I always do, because I'm crap at keeping my own boundaries when it comes to like giving things away and giving more value, because I like to do it and I enjoy it. And so I struggle. So what I do, because I acknowledge that I'm pretty crap, is I think about my clients. So it's like, if it was me and it was my membership, I'd be like, if I give this thing, is it going to piss off my retainer clients?
Yeah.
And that's where I draw my line of, like, this is where I need to like pull back a bit. And like you say, you can give tailored advice on the calls themselves, but keeping everything else a little bit more general is potentially a more wise business move. Something that I would encourage you to do, even though in your head you probably will feel like you already know, but seeing it laid out might be easier, is I would write down all the different ways that people can work with you, and I would list out what they all are, but also what the key differences to them all are. And it's not about proving that your retainer is better than your membership, but it might just be that one or two things. You might see that the retainer is like it's like a step up for like potentially like you get more things, or it might be that it's for a different person. It might be that that's for the person that's like wanting to scale or wanting to be making £100,000 a year, or that you might notice that it's like a very different person. But just having those differences really like clearly laid out will make it a lot easier for you to sell each individual thing, but it will also make it a lot easier for you to like remember where you need to stop and be like, hang on a minute, the retainer gets this, the membership doesn't get this, so I need to draw back on this. I think that would be like a really beneficial thing to do, just to kind of like have it in your head, because the thing is as well, you don't want to get muddy in terms of the membership is super valuable, which it should be. If it's not, you shouldn't do it.
Yeah.
The membership's super valuable. What you, I feel, again, I'm saying this in such an inconcise way, but you don't want to say like the membership messaging can't be, you get me for this, I'm going to help you be able to do XYZ, and at the end you're going to feel like XYZ, and then your membership for your retainer be those exact same words.
Yeah. So the key difference is me physically doing it versus them learning how to do it. So yeah, they'll get like the advice on how to implement it, but they're the implementers. Like,
so with
want to
that,
do
it's
that.
straight away, it's either somebody that's at the beginning or has a team in the membership, in the sense of you're not going to have the time to implement it. Like, you need to have the time.
Yeah.
And then like
it can be for higher level people, but their team are probably going to execute it. And actually, that might be fine for her to join the membership for her VA to access the stuff, but getting support from me, if she needs more than 2 times a month, which the membership is going to be bound to, then she's going to need. I think there needs to be an upsell to her offer, which is more consistent support and access to me.
Yeah, because the things, I mean, I've inquired with you before, so I know roughly kind of like where we're looking at. It's I don't want you to take this the wrong way, but it's not a super affordable service for somebody that's you know, it's a high ticket investment, right?
Yeah.
And the membership is probably much more low ticket.
Yeah.
There's a really big gap.
Mm-hmm.
So potentially having those offers where they can gain some sort of support, but you're still not doing the work for them. But again, having those very clear differences between each one might help eliminate that problem, because it's like the membership might not be right, the retainer might not be right, but there probably is like a bit of a middle ground. Because I obviously, when I spoke to you, I wasn't quite ready to make the commitment for that financial thing. So I'm probably somewhere in the middle, and there's probably a lot of people that sit about there.
Yeah, and those are the types of people that, because business changes all the time, they'll probably move to different offers at different stages, and as their business grows, they then move up the levels, if that makes sense. So I think I need to. I feel like I don't want to like plan my business on paper to please all these different types of people.
Do you want to work with all these different types of people?
I don't know if that's a bad thing, but like I love, like we had that conversation, didn't we, on VoiceNote, about the fact that like it's so energizing to speak to someone that's like they've just started their page, they're getting up and running. Like that is so exciting to me to get someone like on the ladder, and equally someone that's like hiring the 10th person that's having a problem, for me to solve that with them. Like it just makes me so excited. So that I like the broad spectrum. I think there's just so much out there that's like you need to decide who you're speaking to, and I'm like, everybody.
Oh, I think you need to decide who you're speaking to with the offer.
Yeah, for each offer. Okay.
I think that's where you need to draw the line. I was going to say, I don't think it is a bad thing that you want to talk to. The reason I asked is because if you don't want to and you just feel like you have to, that's when it's a problem. But if you want to talk to these people, just don't put, my biggest advice for membership, I've had 2 memberships that have closed because I'm really crap at memberships because of my boundaries. Like, you need to make sure you keep them. Don't go in giving so much because it's the beginning and you're excited. Do something that you can consistently keep up. And something that you'll be happy to keep up if you suddenly are earning twice as much next year.
Yeah. I've had to like keep telling myself that. My coach has been like, stick the boundaries now that you a year from now can still manage.
And you don't know how quickly it can turn around. My first membership, it is a joke, but also it's why I have a business. So I try not to be too hard on myself, but I struggle to say it without laughing. My first membership, I'd not made any, I had one client, sorry, but it was 8 weeks and I think it was like £100. It was really, really affordable. I started a membership and it was £6.05 a month. And it was about 3 calls a month, 1 million templates, access to me 24/7. There was a lot in there for £6 a month.
Okay.
Because I didn't think I could, like, I just wanted to give everything, and I was enjoying it. I was liking the positive feedback I was getting and all of this. That launched February 1st. This is 2022. That launched February 1st. April, I made 8.5 grand. And I don't think I would have made that 8.5 grand had I not had that membership, because it was giving me testimonials and all of this different stuff. People were talking about me, but it made that £6 suddenly not make sense very, very fast. So
Mhm.
you just need to take into account the fact that your business could completely change like that.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And like I want to plan it so that like the idea is that no matter how big it gets, those boundaries will still be the same. So like to start with, when there's going to be less people in there, they're going to get a load of value for me being available for like a full hour to solve problems. But I know in reality I'm designing this so that like in 6 months time when there's like 30 people in there, I'll still just be there for an hour. It's going to be quick fire. Like I'm prepared for it to be that. But
Yeah.
that's not going to change because they need to be proactive to ask for the support and submit the questions and that kind of thing. So
Absolutely. And do be top on that. I've had to do that with a FlexiMind, and it's gone against every single bone in my body because I am only in the Voxer in there 2 or 3 times a week, and I really struggle to have that boundary. But because I know that after I've had the baby, I'm going to have to implement that. I don't want the value to suddenly go like this, even though it was advertised as that. So I've had to be like really strict with myself and see messages when I'm not doing anything and not answer them, and it's been really hard. But if you don't start with, it's so hard to implement a boundary later. So just really stick into that.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I'm gonna map out all of my offers and like work out who I'm speaking to. I think I was just in my own head that like I can't speak to everybody.
No, you can. I think you can. I think you just need to be clear on like why or how it suits everybody and like
Yeah. What they're actually gonna get from it. Yeah.
that's exciting. Congratulations.
Thank you. It's exciting.
Sorry,
Bye.
I will send you that chart I was talking about afterwards with selling multiple things. I think, if anybody else wants it as well, I'm happy to send that.
Thank you so much. That was so helpful.
You're so welcome. And Katie, is there anything I can help you with?
Yeah, so my goal for 2024 is leaving my job and starting business full time. I dropped a day at work towards the end of last year, but I think I'm going to have to move my plan sooner than I would have maybe liked, just because the working environment I'm in has just become like very toxic. And I know that in April, when like national living wage increases, there's going to be redundancies because the company just won't be able to afford to keep people on. They're going to change my role. So it's kind of like, you know what, I'll just get out now. Like, I don't want to be there. It saves someone who actually loves the job from losing theirs. So this week I've kind of booked off work to really just like focus on like setting up things and getting things in motion. So basically I want to go into coaching for people with anxiety and just who want to improve their mindset. I've struggled with anxiety for years and years and years, and I've become so passionate about it. I've done so much work on myself, and I want to like pass that on to other people. And one of the things that I was thinking about doing as well as the coaching, I've got a big background in training. I love doing like presentations and things. So it's like I want to put up like just a Canva video where I'm just talking through a presentation. It's like 30 minutes, and then there's a PDF handout full of like journaling exercises to help, because I appreciate that I'm going to be helping people with anxiety and confidence, and sometimes it's gonna take them a lot longer from like finding me on Instagram to maybe like having the courage to actually want to work with me. Whereas if I have that kind of thing that doesn't require any interaction, that might be a little bit easier. And I've done 2 where I've been like working on them, writing them all up. And I love what I've put in. I've put in so much time, so much effort. I absolutely love it, but it's just not perfect. And I think that's a me thing. Not, I don't think it needs to be perfect, but it's because I'm putting I want to put a price tag on it. And I noticed like when I started doing it, I was like, right, I think this is going to be the price tag. And now it just keeps dropping and dropping and dropping. And it's like, I can't work for free. Like, this is going to be my income. This is going to be what I want to do. I can't put things like this, especially when it's been like 20 hours of work. I can't justify putting that up for free. Yes, it's kind of just how can I like drop the perfect, even though I'm still new at this. I'm still like getting to grips with everything. It's kind of just, yeah, shifting that need to have everything perfect before I can put it up.
I think the perfect thing is something that most people can identify with. But I think something to remember, first of all, is nobody else knows what you haven't included. So if there's some knowledge that you have that's not in there, nobody else knows that, because unless they have the knowledge, they don't know that that knowledge exists, and therefore they haven't got that knowledge. I would personally refrain from giving everything anyway, because I think A, that screws you up for future things if everything's in one thing. But B, I also think that it becomes harder to digest the more that is in there. Sometimes simple and going like really in depth with a few things, like really like tangible, they can go away and implement it. And maybe anxiety is so complex. I also have anxiety. Like certain things will work, certain things won't work for me that will work for you, and vice versa. But having a few things that they can just go and try and have some sort of like hope, that is worth its weight in gold. Without knowing like what the course or like the presentation in itself is like specifically designed to do. I think for me, being someone that's been less so now than ever actually, but been crippled with anxiety since I was 7, I think I would pay pretty much anything to have some sort of hope and have some sort of just possibility for some of that to be alleviated in some sense. So I think there is so much value probably in what already exists that you can't see, because you want to, the thing is, you're never going to be able, with something like with what you do, you can never fully take that away from the person. And so I don't think it will ever feel perfect.
Yeah.
Because you can't manufacture like them having like a really good launch and then their business is better, or this has happened and now this has happened. Like it's unfortunately something that's like way more than that, and it's having just being able to manage better and having like just valuable tips in there, I think actually is super, super valuable, and more than you maybe are giving credit to. I did a offer on this in the summer called Become a Masterclass Pro, but I tend to do I tend to treat my like masterclasses, or like when you're doing like a singular thing like that, I tend to treat them as lessons. I was a primary school teacher, and I know that I was dealing with 8-year-olds on a daily basis, but I think it works. Basically, it's just when something's new for you, you need it to be presented to you in the same way. And for an 8-year-old, that's like basic stuff. Whereas for somebody that's got anxiety, some of the stuff that you're going to be helping them with is potentially really basic and unknown to them. I think the more that you put inside one lesson, the harder it is for you to walk away with anything, because you can't digest the information. Sometimes I think when there's just like something tangible that they can walk away with, there ends up being a bigger impact. And it's not that you just literally teach them one thing, but it's like there's like an umbrella. So when you're in fact, let me find one on Google quickly and I'll share my screen with you, because it'll be easier for me to explain. Learning. Sorry, 1 second. So this is very teachery, but I tend to use it quite a lot. So, and this goes for anybody with anything like this that they're doing. I think it works for pretty much all of it. So when you're at school, they do this across the country. I think they do it at high school as well, but they definitely do it at every primary school. But you have like a learning objective. So you have something that they're going to get out of the lesson, right? So out of your course, like what is the thing that they're going to get? For me, for like the mirror ball effect next week, for example, it's that content is going to be easier for them and their sales pitching is going to be easier. Like that's what I want them to walk away with, that they feel like it's just more simple and less like complex and them scrambling around. Like that's the objective. And then there are like 2 or 3 things that I need to be able to teach them within that masterclass next week for me to know that they're able to do that and they're the success criteria. So I need to be able to tell them how to multiply their ideas so that they're not starting from scratch every time. I need to be able to tell them teach them how to be repetitive in their messaging without just saying the same thing over and over again. I also need to teach them how they can potentially, like, I don't know, make content actually simply rather than sitting down and spending hours and hours doing it, right? So if I teach those 3 things, I know that they then know how to make content easy, if that makes sense. So whilst I'm teaching quite a lot of different things, I'm actually only really teaching one thing, and it will feel like it's full of lots of value. But what that does is it allows them to A, not be overwhelmed, B, have tangible things that they can walk away with, and C, when I want to teach about something else, I've not tripped myself up by putting it in this thing as well. So it then allows me to be able to extend my business and have all these different like courses or different masterclasses or whatever it is, without feeling like I'm falling over myself. And in terms of the perfectionism thing as well, I did a masterclass in 2022 that is still very valuable. I would say a lot of people it was about content pillars. I would say still people watch that and say that they get a lot out of it. But I've learned so much since then that I'm in the middle of redoing that with the bits that were in it originally, because I still stand by them and think they're great, but that adds all my new knowledge in. You're never going to be at a place where you can give, like, in 6 months, you're going to know something else no matter what you put in it now. And I think coming to terms with that and being okay with that is really important in terms of being able to just like sit with it and go, do you know what? It's good enough if it's going to help people.
Yeah. It's that letting myself be a beginner. That's what I've got to remember. Like, everyone who has put something out there, like, probably will watch back at it and like cringe at, why did I do that?
And one of my biggest pieces of advice for what you do, one of my best friends is an anxiety and mindset coach, and I have this conversation with her regularly, is as somebody that has anxiety, I'm at a place now where I would much rather work with somebody like you that understands. That's such a big selling point for me. And it's not to discredit people that are highly educated that don't understand, like therapists and things like that. Like, I think there are massive places for them, but I have been promised so many times over the years that my anxiety can be taken away from me, that it can be, I can live this, whatever, that now when somebody says that, it makes, I'd rather not. I'd rather just not try. I'd rather work with someone that actually gets it, and it's like a vulnerable thing to work on as well. So I think there's a lot of power in the fact that it can be, I think sometimes when you're the person, it can feel like a weakness, because it's, who am I to be able to do it when I also have anxiety? But I think there's a real power in that. And a good example of that is last year, I hired a hypnotherapist at the very start of last year. And it was to do with, I have really bad travel anxiety, but even in just like on the roads, like in a like everyday sense, I have really bad travel anxiety. And I hired a hypnotherapist, and I had, I think, 5 or 6 calls with hypnotherapists. And the one person that told me that she still has anxiety and she can't make it go away, that was the person that I hired. So just remember that there's like so much knowledge in there as well, in terms of like the fact that you're navigating it, and and you're able to put tools in there that you have used and things as well, which I think is huge.
It's what, like, my whole thing is, it's like changing people's relationship with anxiety. Like, I'm very wary of anyone who says, I'm going to get rid of it for you entirely, because it's not going to happen. But you've given me a lot to think about in terms of like not putting everything in like one product, because I do think I've put a lot in there.
Mhm.
Um,
It's natural to do. We all,
yeah,
but I
yeah,
think if you think of it, it's very hard to think of it from a business perspective because you want to help people.
mm,
So you're like, let's throw everything in. But I think if you think of it from the perspective of it actually might just be super overwhelming,
yeah, that's the thing.
that might be more helpful for you. But actually, from a business perspective as well, if you did this thing and you really struggled to sell it, you've put everything in it. You can't do anything else.
Yeah,
Whereas if you have like these different things, and also it then means if somebody does buy it and enjoys it, they then have somewhere else to go. If you then have a
Mm.
branch talking about something else somewhere else, if that makes
Yeah.
sense. Otherwise,
Yeah,
their journeys, like we were saying with Emily, where they can potentially move up from the membership into something else, into the retainer, like there needs to be somewhere else for them to go. And if everything's in there, there's no need for them to work with you one-to-one if that's what you want to do. There's no need to work with you in a group if that's what you want to do. There's no need to download any other things that you have.
mm,
They've got everything.
yeah, yeah. That's good. I'm gonna have a look at that tomorrow and see like how I can basically turn it from like one thing to maybe like two or three, just to like, I've already done the work for it, so it's like I've already like created 3 products.
You could even, if you do have three, for example, you could like say they were, and I'm just throwing random numbers here, but say they were all £20, you
Mm,
could do all three of them for £50. Like you could
yeah,
do an incentive to have them be purchased as a bundle as well. But yeah, I think it's a smart way for both people, like for both parties,
yeah,
for you to do it. But
yeah.
it's the thing that most people do, throw too much in.
Yeah, it's trying to like you want to give as much value to people as possible, but I don't want to like overwhelm everyone.
But also, if you've ever been to anything before, or like a training or something, ordinarily, for me anyway, it's like the really small things that are said that I suddenly go, whoa.
Mm,
And I like walk away, and the person that's on the call, like doing the call, can't predict what that thing is because it's sometimes the most random. I remember going to a Hayley Forbes masterclass about a year and a half ago, and she on the call said that if you can sell to one person, you can sell to 10 people because 10 people are just 10 one peoples. And it's such a stupid thing to say, but my mind was blown. And I remember sitting there being like, whoa. And that's the only thing I remember from that damn masterclass. And yet for her, that probably wasn't the selling point. But it just goes to show you can't predict what people are going to take.
mm,
And usually it is those just small little things that are said in a certain way where it just clicks.
yeah,
It's not that there's loads, it's that something clicks. And that's all that somebody with anxiety or any kind of mindset, anybody that's after a mindset shift is after, just something to like click and to have a new way of potentially approaching something.
yeah. Perfect. Yeah, that's given me a lot to think about. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. It's exciting as well. And finally, Miss Gigi, were you breastfeeding the first half of this call by any chance?
No, my internet was going like in and out. You were all sounding like robots that were going really slowly and then really fast, but
That's
eventually
what we were
felt like
we
it
were
flat out.
doing that because we thought it would be entertaining.
Well, I was entertained. Um, it's all like it's been really interesting to listen to everyone because it's like you said, Shan, it's good to be like a little fly on the wall and listening to everybody else's. But it's funny that you all mentioned like leaving a job because that's what is happening this year for me. So I mean, I'm on maternity leave from my day job at the moment, and the plan is to not go back. However, now that it's actually clicked over into 2024, because I've just been thinking of it as like it's next year, it's like it's ages away. Now it's actually 2024. I'm like, okay, I actually have to do it. I actually have decided, to go all in on this business and stuff. And my sort of question or topic for advice on is like the imposter syndrome side of it. And I know I'm literally like 3 days into the new business. And I did my first strategy call yesterday. Was it yesterday?
Yeah.
I've got a very bad cold and I'm feeling like groggy and blah, so time is nothing at the moment. I've done my first call and it went really well and I really enjoyed it. But now I'm on the kind of like come down from that and I'm like, am I even qualified to do this? is this any good? Does anyone need it? And like the person I did the call with she's like spoken on her stories today, which it was something that she was saying that she wants to eventually work her way up to, and we're going to work through it. And she just went straight in this morning and spoke on her stories, and I'm so proud of her. And she said, oh, it's all because of our call yesterday. And I was just like, no, it wasn't, it was you. And I'm just feeling very like there's so much evidence that what I'm doing is needed, but then there's that bit of me that's like, no, it's not. And I think it's because part of me is because I'm in like a community online of people who already share their personality, and it's not like a thing for them. They just do it because it comes naturally to them, or they've learned how to. I'm feeling very much like, well, I'm talking to a brick wall here because I'm talking to people who don't need it. And I'm just like, yeah, I'm just sort of stuck in that like negative headspace of I need to make this work because I'm leaving my job in summer. And yeah, do you know what I mean?
I do. I think you kind of answered your own question though, or your own
Probably.
issue in terms of the fact that you are right. The result that you had from your call yesterday was huge.
Yeah.
And like I know from having just brief conversations with her that she doesn't post anything, not her personality. She doesn't post anything because she's got herself into this really stuck state. And then all of a sudden she's on her stories. I didn't even know, I'd only ever up until very recently seen her profile picture. That was the only like version of her I'd ever seen. And now she's there doing like 4 stories back to back, and all of this off the back of what you did. So I think first of all, that's real evidence for the fact that it is needed. And I know when we had our one-to-one the other day, we were talking about potentially working with people, especially with things that you've got coming up later in the year, where they are potentially in a similar situation to her, where they've been doing this business for a while, but like are feeling stuck and all of this. But I do wonder if, now listen to you say this now as well, I do wonder if the reason that you're not seeing the need for it as much is because, generally speaking, a lot of your friends within this space aren't at the beginning, and therefore have already figured that out because they've either been in programs with you, or you've worked with them, or they're friends of people that you've worked with, and they do you know what I mean? I wonder if your people that you're surrounding yourself with are the people that have already kind of worked through that.
Exactly, yeah.
So maybe there needs to be more of a focus in connecting with some new people, those people that actually I think especially coach wise, and maybe not especially, but that's obviously what I do, so I've known beginner coaches probably more than I've known any other business owner. But I think especially coach wise, there's a real block of not wanting to really do. Some people love it, and then other people absolutely hate it. It's like, I don't even want to be on social media and do any of this stuff. I just know I have to because I want to coach.
Yeah,
like it's more of a necessary like means to an end, but I actually don't really want to do it. I think those kind of people, I'm in the coaching provider that I learned through, it's a Facebook group. It's like 3,000 people in there, and it's regularly like conversations of, I hate social media, I don't want to show up, I don't want to do this, I don't want to do that. So those they exist. It's just maybe not people that we're talking to.
Yeah, I need to get a lot clearer on and be more strategic about like who I'm
But again,
trying to
like
going after is like the wrong
no, but again,
wrong
like
word,
with
but
Emily, like you can have different offers that go to different people. That doesn't mean that
Yeah.
what we discussed the other day in terms of the thing that you want to do it like over the summer and the second half of the year, that doesn't mean that can't be done with people that have already been in business for a while. That doesn't mean that, but it just means they're probably fewer and far further between like in terms of like you being able to see it as a problem. It doesn't mean that it's not a problem, because a lot of people will show up and share things and hate every second of it as well. But it'll be less apparent, because if they've already got to a point where they're making a decent amount of money, or they've been in business for 2 years or whatever, they've probably just had to kind of suck it up.
Yeah.
Otherwise they would have given up or failed already.
Yeah.
Whereas the new people haven't had a chance to give up or fail yet.
Yeah.
So they're the people that need the guidance in terms of like being able to actually put, like you did. And again,
Yeah.
I think you're such a good freaking testimonial to this. You didn't go on your stories. You
True.
wouldn't share anything about yourself.
Hmm.
And now you're sharing photos like this on Instagram. Like you're like you're
I mean, I had to, didn't I? Had to eventually.
you're such a good example of somebody that like was just a photo,
Mm.
but now is somebody that's like a 4D human being.
Yeah.
And so like you remember that you're that person, which shows that there is that person. And you're not even a coach, so it just goes to show like that it is applicable in all the other industries as well.
Yeah, I think it's definitely like I have it as like a head knowledge, but it's not like in my heart. Like I feel like an imposter, I think, and there's always going to be an element of imposter syndrome as I grow and
there
stuff,
will.
because I've heard from people who have gone, you know, who are a lot further along in business, and they're all saying that like, yeah, it doesn't go away, it just kind of changes.
It doesn't. And
Um,
I remember getting on a call. There was when the war broke out in Ukraine, Rosie O'Boyle did a like charity like coaching call thing, like a group coaching call thing. And I remember going on there, and at the time I was definitely like at the bottom of the pecking order in terms of like the people that were on the call. And I remember being so surprised because everybody was talking about like their like how they were in business and the things that they had going on at that point and how they were feeling and all that, and every single conversation in the room was exactly the same. And it was really interesting to see that everybody feels that. It doesn't go away. I had the feeling just before I got on this call a little bit, because I didn't know who was going to be here. I haven't worked with all of you before. And I don't get nervous for most calls that I do anymore. But every now and again, when it's like new people, I have that moment of, hell, but what if they ask me a question that I don't know the answer to? If I don't know the answer, I'll just tell them I don't know the answer. But you're going to have that thing of like, oh, maybe I don't know anything. And maybe I regularly feel like that. I regularly feel like I'm scamming everybody. I regularly
that's
feel
a
like
really good way of putting it. That's how I feel. Scamming,
I
that's
am
a really good word to describe it.
I am the biggest fraud. I regularly feel like my mum will sometimes be like, how how do you know what's up? I'm like, I don't. I just talk and people seem to believe me. But that's how I feel, whether or not that's accurate or not. And I like to give myself a little bit more credit than that with the knowledge and everything that I've gained over the last few years. But that's still how I feel on a real note regularly.
Yeah, that really resonates, I think, and you aren't scamming us. to clarify, I do not feel scammed by you in any way. But it's kind of not nice for you, but nice to hear that it's not like it happens to everyone. I'm not the only one that like feels like that.
It does, and it's crap because it's also then really disheartening because it's like it doesn't go away.
Yeah.
But don't let it stop you from doing the things that you're doing. And I know that we shouldn't like seek external validation on everything all the time, but also so fucking what? Like if that's what you need, that's what you need. And Paul yesterday helped you because you saw how it directly helped somebody, and that was your first call doing your new business. More of those you get under your belt, the more you'll suddenly realize that you are doing a good job, because people will keep telling you that you're doing a good job and that you're helping them. And sometimes actually that's just what you need.
Yeah.
And that's okay. And you're giving more opportunity for that at the moment. So like allow all of that to sink in and take note when people tell you. I always think the best representation of your business is not how you feel about how good you are at what you do, because most of the time I have no idea how I'm doing. I listen to my clients.
Yeah.
The clients that re-sign and say nice, or I went live the other week talking about how I feel like I'm flailing, and one of my clients sent me a 7-minute voice note and was like, okay, so I've had some ideas for you. She was like, helping me out. Like they're the best people to listen to because they're actually going to be a lot more accurate than you are on yourself.
True, very true. Thank you.
But I think maybe have a little focus on how we can, and we can have a chat about it separately anyway, but have a little focus on how we can bring some maybe newer business owners in, just to give you that validation that it's needed, especially in the short term, and for your lower ticket offers as well.
Yes. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You are very welcome. Amazing. Well, thank you so much, everybody. I know we've overrun a little bit, but anybody that has worked with me before will know that that is not weird. It's weirder when I finish on time. People think something's gone wrong, I'm ill, something's like dramatically horrible has happened. But thank you so much for coming. I hope that you found it helpful. I will send over some bits that we've spoken about, and I will also send you the replay to this call tomorrow. But yeah, thanks for spending your evening with me. I very much enjoyed it. And yes, absolutely, share your social media in the chat quickly before we head off. Please do. Because yeah, it's always nice to connect. I'll just give you a minute. Amazing. Well, thank you so much. Have a lovely evening, and I will chat with you all soon. Feel free to message me if anything comes up and you just want to chat it through, by the way. Genuinely don't mind when it's like off the back of a conversation that we've already had. I'm actually quite nosy, so I quite enjoy hearing people's tangents off the back of the conversations that we've had. It's not really for you, it's more for me. So yeah, have a lovely evening, and I'll talk to you all soon.
Thank you. Bye.